Yes. Thank you so much, sir. And as I mentioned, please keep a notepad and a pen with you so that you can make a note of the questions you have, because I'm putting it in a flow. And we can have a question answer session. And if I'm not audible, then you can please stop me and let me know that I'm not audible, because sometimes we may have some technical glitches as well. Anyways, I'm just briefly trying to touch upon the contents of day 1 and day 2. As I was mentioning, we'll be having fundamentals of understanding fundamentals of research and methodology, types of research and approaches, review of literature, research problem identification, research gap, how do you formulate a research question, and objectives, citation and referencing techniques, and then the research design and sampling techniques. So we'll touch upon this day 1, and day 2, that is tomorrow, we will be day 2 we'll be talking about data collection, analysis and report writing, methods of data collection, data analysis and interpretation, introduction to statistical tools. See, all this is given to me as your topics for your study. And then hypothesis testing and data presentation, ethical considerations in research, and report writing and presentation.
Ma'am, you are muted, ma'am. Please unmute by mistake.
I'm so sorry. I hope I'm something or the
Yes, ma'am. Audible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So these are the two. I just shared with you the contents of the 2-day session. I'm trying to make it as simple and
Ma'am, again muted. Unmute, please. I think audio, maybe some disturbances, your mic.
No, sir.
It is now you are again audible. Audible, again
yes,
audible.
sir. Yes, sir. And then again it is getting muted, I think, suddenly. Okay, anyways, I hope I'm audible, and I hope there won't be a problem again. So I'm trying to what I understand in my experience is that when you say research to students, it is not taken very positively, because you find it is very dreaded and very dull and boring. But in fact, when you get into business, because as I understand, all of you are from the management stream, research has become a part of business, a very much important part of business, not now, but from the beginning itself. Because without research, we cannot come up with new products, new services, improvising of an existing product. And you have studied about product life cycle. So without research, you will not know in which stage of the life cycle your product or your services or your company is, and what strategies you need to take to come out of that particular challenge that the company is facing. See, it is because of this that the importance of research, that analytics has become.
Muted, ma'am.
Yeah, somebody is muting. Some Omkar, somebody. I just saw that. I kept
Who is doing this?
Okay. So when you see this, when you understand why the importance of, please don't disturb, because it affects the ones who are actually listening and trying to learn something. Okay. And it also affects us when we are trying to share something with you. Okay, so it is because of the importance and the significance of research that we have analytics, business analytics. You've heard of marketing analytics, you've heard of business analytics, you've heard of finance analytics, or HR analytics. All these are part of research. It's an outcome of research. So research is, in a nutshell, so I'm putting it in that way, and then I'm going into the details to make it easy for you. Okay. So in a nutshell, research is gathering data, okay, collecting data, and then analyzing that data, and then making informed decisions Okay, you're not making a decisions arbitrarily, just like that, just looking, you look at the sky and you feel it's looking cloudy, oh, it might rain. This is arbitrary. It may or may not rain, but if you do it scientifically, you will know. Scientifically means if you use the actual gadgets in the weather forecast, and you'll able to tell exactly whether it's going to rain or not. So this is what research is. It helps us to give the actual come up with what do you say, informed decisions for business. And now, why is it so very important? Because there is no monopoly in the market. There is so much of competition around for even a smallest thing, like a pin, has a handkerchief. Even that has so much of competition. And so if you want to be one of the best, you need to make the right decisions. And to make the right decisions, what you require is data. And this data is you get it through the way of collecting from different sources. So all this put together is what we call research. And as students of commerce and management, it is important that we know the process of business research. Hence, it is mandated all throughout the world, not only to students from Pune or only in Bangalore or Mysore or somewhere. It is throughout the world, because they understand that it is very, very important. So as you can see here, I'm not reading out those slides, but you can understand it's a process of gathering required information and converting the data into informed decisions. Now, let me give you an example. Now, if all of you, okay, I think the example of mobile handset will be something which is easy for you to understand. All of you own a mobile handset. And how did you purchase this mobile handset? Did you just go to the shop and like you ask for a packet of chips? Do you just ask the shopkeeper, the storekeeper, give me one mobile? No, you wouldn't have done that, isn't it? What you would have done before buying the handset, you would have made a lot of analysis, like asking friends. You're going through the web pages, you're looking into all information, you're going into those online platforms. Now we have several online platforms. Okay, you would go into maybe Flipkart and Amazon, because they are the most popular. You go into that, then you check all kind of handsets, then you look into the price, because you have a budget. So you look into that budget and see which will match, and then you look into so many features that you fit what you want applicable in your handset. And then maybe you even go to the store, you check all that, and then you make a decision. In fact, what you have done is research. Okay, so if I do it on in terms of business, it is business research. So even if you want to start a business, if you do it with proper research, the business becomes successful, because you're able to give in the right strategies. And there are so many studies to show and prove that business is no more like, if I have a business in a posh area, then my business does very well, or I need to put in so much of money only, then business will do well, or I have to decorate my my showroom only, then business does well. No, all that is outdated. So what you need to do is, you require to understand the mindset of people. You have to understand your competitor strategy. You have to understand what are the trends in the market. All this requires research, and hence we are going forward. I hope I put in the right foundation. Okay, now when you're talking about business research, we are talking about a management problem. You're trying to solve a problem. What kind of problem are you trying to solve? It might be something like, maybe I'm giving a lot of advertisements, I'm giving a lot of discounts, but people are not buying my product. Okay, so that could be a management problem. Why are customers not preferring our product, and they're buying another product which doesn't look good, and it is more expensive? There must be some fault in a product. So when you understand, what can you do? So what you can do is, since time is short, I'm not making it too interactive, but I hope you are able to understand what I'm trying to say. So what would you do? You would try to collect information from customers and find out, you have a questionnaire, you go to all these customers and ask them, or collect a feedback from them, asking them, why do you not prefer this product? What makes you prefer our competitor's product? Okay, and if we reduce the price, would you buy it? So then they may say, no, it's not about the price, it's because it's not convenient to open the lid of your product, or when we use the product, the perfume is not very pleasing, something like that. So the moment you get to know about it, and if you solve that problem, immediately your business starts thriving. Okay, so this is it. It could be a specific issue, or it could be a gap in the existing knowledge for decision making. As simple as that. Okay, go to the next slide. See, what's a how do you define a management problem? Because it means how do you identify a topic for research? This is what I'm trying to come to. So this is called as the management problem. When you're talking in technical terms, we call it as management problem. So how do you define a management problem? This is a specific issue, like the employee behavior or employee productivity, or the effect of performance appraisal on the performance or the employee productivity, the level of employee productivity, or the effectiveness of training on the employees. So why do you give training for employees? To ensure that they work well, they are motivated, their productivity is increased. So you are trying to find out whether that training has been helpful or not, or you want to know whether employees require training. That's a specific problem. Or it could be a gap in the existing knowledge, like how can I improve my product, how can I reduce the supply chain process, can I reduce the cost of production, can I increase how can I increase the sales with the given resources. All this is a gap in the existing knowledge. Okay, so you can choose topics based on this. And one more thing I would like to add here is, it is not necessary that you go to a company to do a research study, because you have to make a presentation and you have to submit a proposal, a project, right? It's not necessary that you have to actually go to a company and then do it. It's good, but if you're not able to do, you can still do it through a freelance system, wherein you can meet people, collect information based on certain topics, specific issues that you have identified, and then come up with results. Okay, so that is also possible for students to do. So when you identify research problem, that becomes your objective. Now what's an objective? That is the goal of your study. Okay, I hope I'm getting it through to you. Now, what is the purpose of business research? I think I don't have to actually tell you this now, because I've already discussed and told you how important research is to business. So I just put in points, because I understand as students, you would also require points for your exams and so on. So one is, I just mentioned a few points. You can always go ahead and add a few more. To achieve new insight into a problem. That means why. See, many a time, I'll tell you one interesting, I usually tell this, this example, I usually tell it in my class when I'm handling this topic anywhere. So there was this particular company that wanted to manufacture cigarettes for women. This quite some time back. And what they thought was, instead of simply manufacturing in a large scale, and supposing it is not, but people don't buy it, and this was in India. So if people don't buy it, then probably it will be a huge loss for the company. So what they did was, they did a pilot study. You understand what's a pilot study? It's before doing an initial study, you do a small test and see whether it's working or not. That's called a pilot study. So they did a small pilot study, and they found that all the cigarettes were sold out. It looked like there's a lot of demand, and they felt, okay, not bad. They are customers to buy our products. So the pilot study is not giving us a bad result. It's giving positive results. So let's go ahead and manufacture more. So what they did was, they started manufacturing in large scale. But then, to their utter surprise, they found that there were no sales at all. And that is when they did a research to find out why. And they did the actual research, which gave them an answer saying that when they launched this, cigarette for women, it was the men who are purchasing to find out what is the difference between this cigarette, between the men's cigarette and the female cigarette for women. They wanted to know whether it has any other different taste or something like that. And once they got to know about it, they didn't want to purchase it. It was out of curiosity that they were buying. But what did the company feel? The company felt that it was customers. It was the women who are testing it or buying it, and there's a lot of demand. And see, that led to a lot of loss to the company. So when you so the second one is the second part of this case study which I told you is what gave a new insight to the problem to the company. So that could be the purpose of the business research, or it could be to formulate a solution, to form a solution to the problem, or it could be to give a proper and justified decision. Why do I say justified decision? Because you're not just giving a decision like that. You're giving a decision based on statistical analysis. You're doing a statistical analysis and then you get a result. You interpret that result. So it becomes very authentic. Okay, it is almost pinpointing. And then you find the cause and the effect of a particular decision, and then you're able to diagnose the problem and find a suitable solution. Again, I've just mentioned a few points. You can always add into those points. Now, how do you go about? So you have understood what is business research and why do we need to do business research. Okay, so now let us understand the process of business research. How do you go about taking it forward? First is you determine the problem or the opportunity. What is the problem? Maybe customers are not satisfied, sales are not happening properly, production is not going smoothly, power consumption is very high, or transportation cost has become very costly, your supply chain is not able to supply the goods on time, inventory management is not proper. So there are n number of issues that happen in a company, right? It could be finance, it could be based on HR, it could be based on marketing, it could be based on your business process, okay, anything. So you determine your problem, or you feel there's an opportunity. Like for example, see, everybody, ChatGPT is almost old now, but still, let me use that topic. Something like how positively can I use ChatGPT to help me enhance my career? So that is really an opportunity. In fact, many people use ChatGPT just to copy some information, but in fact, there are many positive uses through which you can use AI. So you're using that. So that could be the first part, is to determine the problem or to identify an opportunity and take it forward. The second step, to specify what information is needed in that. Now, supposing I say that sales are not happening, then I want to specify and find out whether it is happening in the advertisement stage or it is happening after the the advertisement is very good, people are buying the product, and then after using it, they're not coming back to it. So maybe that is it. Okay, so you want to know at why the sales are not happening for a particular XYZ product. So you specify what information is required. Next, you identify the source of the information. From where can you collect this information now? So if I say that the customers are not buying, that means I should collect the information from customers, not from someone else, not from anybody, any third person, right? So say, for example, let me put it this way. If okay, let us say Complan health drink. Okay, so if Complan health drink, it's an example. Supposing Complan health drink is not having proper sales. So that's the problem that you have identified. Now you want to know what's the information needed, why it is not becoming popular, why people are not buying that product. So you identify the source of the information. From where can you get the data? The data can be got not from just people who are buying it. Okay, it is the mothers basically. Okay, because they are the ones who usually complain for kids. I'm talking about the kids stuff. So that is decided usually by mothers. Maybe even fathers as well, but parents, I can say, they are the ones who decide, because maybe children don't like to drink plain milk, and they want the children to drink milk, so they are adding this. And then maybe they are seeing that the advertisement says that it will make the child stronger, taller, sharper, so they feel, okay, that will help my child with all the minerals and calcium and vitamins and all that. So they feel that is going to be helpful, and that's the reason they buy. So from where can we get the information? From parents. Okay, because they are the ones who decide. Because in India especially, to a certain age, we are still kids to our parents. Okay, forever we are kids. Even at my age, I'm still I lost my parents, but still if my parents were there, I would still be their kid. Okay, so that's how our Indian culture is. So many things, decisions, for some things decisions are made by parents. For some things we make our own decisions. So for when it comes to this health drink and all that, it's usually parents who decide. So for us who are researchers, when we want to collect data, we have to collect data from the identified respondents. So these are the sources of information. Okay. Now, if I'm buying a mobile handset, I want to know about a particular handset. In such case, if the handset is within, say, 30,000 rupees or something like that, then who would be my source of information? Maybe the lower middle income group, or maybe the student group, because usually students cannot afford to buy phones. They depend on their parents for the money because they're still not earning. Right. So they may not go in for a very high-end phone. They may go in for, because they keep changing or something like that. So parents would go in for something within 30,000 or something like that. So source of information. Where can I get the information? Now, if I'm talking about saris, then it will be women who wear saris. I hope you're getting it. So identify the source of information. Next, the fourth step is decide on the techniques for acquiring the information. How can I collect the information now? There are different ways. One is maybe Google Forms, or maybe interviews. I can meet them personally and ask them a question and then make a note of it. That is one way. Through telephone, that is another way. Through emails. So all these are different methods I can use to collect information. It's a technique. Okay, we'll be studying about all these points, but I'm giving you so that it becomes easy, and we are condensing it within a short time. So I'm trying to help you in understanding the concept better. And then the next one is gather and process the information. So then I go collect information from all these XYZ people. Okay, and once I collect the information, what do? I'll start analyzing that information. How many male, how many female, how many people said yes, how many people said no, how many people said can't say, how many people said they like the product, how many people gave their opinion about. So I am analyzing all the data. Once I analyze the data, I'm able to interpret. Interpret means to give a meaning to that data. Okay, I'm able to give some meaning to the data. That is called as interpretation. And then I'm able to give a finding. See, it's because of this that this is happening. It is because of this reason that this customers are not buying this product, or it is because of this reason that there are more and more customers coming. So we have to increase the same or follow the same process so that we continue having this inflow of customers into our shop or into our showroom or so on. Okay. So this is the process of business, and this process is not different anywhere. Everywhere we follow the same process. So it's as simple as that. You can write it in your own words. If you're following it in terms of with the objective of your exams, then you can follow it in your own words also, no problem. But I'm just going back to the slide. Don't write step 4. Say I've given 7 steps, so don't write first step as 4, then 2, then see, it's a process. The one which I mentioned here is a process. So you have to follow that process. It has to be after step 1, step 2, step 3. Please remember that. Okay. So otherwise, you can put it in your own words. I hope I'm making myself clear. And please, I'm reminding you, please make a note. So in case you're not able to, you need some clarifications, you can remember and always ask me and I'll be able to clarify that for you. Okay. Now, you have understood the process. Now, how do we go about the next? How do we take this forward? There's something called as hypothesis. Now, what is this hypothesis? You've heard a lot about this. And what is this? Why do we have to have? Because people feel if there's a hypothesis, we have to make up, calculations to test the hypothesis. And that is boring. I don't like statistics and all that. But in fact, if you start working on this, there is no need to know statistics also. You only should know how to interpret the value. That is important. And there's so many softwares available, and you can always, I would suggest you learn Excel, so that that will help you, even if you don't have a software, it can help you in many ways. Power BI and all is more into visualization, Tableau and all that. But safety is being safe is always to know Excel, advanced Excel. Okay, coming back. So when you're talking about a hypothesis, it's always, as I mentioned here, the hypothesis is an assumption about a population. What's a population? Population is that those set of people who are going to, answer my question. Like I said, for Complan, it is going to be parents. So all parents, not parents of elder children, younger children, are my population, because I can ask them the question, and I'm sure that I'll get the right kind of answer from them. Because if I just say parents, even your parents are parents, but you're not, if you're not using Complan, then they are not my population. I need people who can answer to my questions, because I need data. Okay, so what is a hypothesis? It's an assumption about a population, saying that I've given a hypothesis also. So hypothesis is usually a presumption, like, it is a preferred assumption about a population. I mentioned it there. You can see that. It is a preferred assumption about a population which the researcher tries to disprove. It is denoted by H0. Okay, so it's a preferred assumption. You prefer to have that, but it is, you try to disprove that. It's usually, that's how it is. Whereas alternate hypothesis is the opposite of the null hypothesis. Okay, and it is called as H1 and H0. Okay, so and I've just given an example. Say H0. Not every child likes chocolate. So I want to disprove that and say that not all children like chocolates. So I'm saying not every child likes chocolates. I'm saying that only few children like chocolates. Whereas the alternate hypothesis says, no, all children like chocolates. So whether it is true or not, how am I going to say? If I say, yeah, I asked a few children around and all of them said they like chocolates, that means all children like chocolates. No. When I'm doing research, I'm collecting the information, I'm analyzing that. Maybe I'm using a test for analyzing this. I'm not getting into, don't worry, I will not bore you into that. I will get into it and much later. But right now, what I'm telling you is we are going to analyze using some kind of a statistical tool. It could be if you're using you want to know past data based on which you want to predict the future, then you're using regression. Or you want to know whether there's an effect of two variables, then you're using correlation, whether there's a relation between two variables, whether it's affecting or not, whether anything happening to one variable, does it affect, and there's a positive correlation or a negative correlation. Or it could be a t-test, it could be a z-test, it could be a ranking test, or an ANOVA. It depends on what kind of data you have and what is the objective of your study. So you don't use all the tests. You may use a chi-square test, but the chi-square test can be used only on specific things, not for everything. Okay, all these tests, you can't use all the tests. You use it for specific outcomes. So this is what hypothesis is. So hypothesis is basically a statement that you hypothesize, or you presume before the study is made, saying that maybe students don't like research, and then after the study I get to know maybe it is true, or maybe no, that is my thought, because maybe it happened during my younger days when I was a student, and the mindset has changed. So only through test I'll be able to say. So that is why we need a hypothesis. Now, coming to the sources of data. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going back to the 7 points I told you. So I'm going into all that so that by the time I come to the end, you will understand how a research happens. And that's the same way that you do. Only thing is you put that into paper and you make it into your project study and you submit it. Simple. Okay. So now what are the sources of data? How do I collect data? So there are two ways in which I can collect data. One is called as the primary source and the other one is called as the secondary source. Now, what do you say primary? Primary means the first, right? Secondary means second. Okay. So what is a primary source? When I go directly and collect information, this is primary source. Okay, so what are the different ways of primary source? If I interview someone, I'm collecting information. That is a primary source. It could even, this information could be collected even through mails, emails, or even through your WhatsApp, or even through phone. That is primary data. It could be through experiments. You can do an experiment to see whether this is actually happening. See, like in management organization behavior, you would have studied about how the Hawthorne studies, you would have studied about that, right? So what happens in the Hawthorne studies? There was a experiment done on employees to find out whether light, natural light and artificial light affected the employee productivity. They did that in General Electric company. So this was done many years ago. So what they did was there was a psychologist. Okay, he was very instrumental in that. So he came up. What he tried to see was whether the artificial light, that is this using a tube light, or the what we have right now is artificial light, right? Using that or natural light, that is the regular sunlight, will that improve the productivity? So what he did was he took some employees, he chose some employees and he put them in two different places. One had natural light, that is lot of air and windows, and you didn't have, there was no need to put in the bulb and all that. And another set of employees, he put them into a room which was a little dark, so it required artificial lighting, like tube lights and bulbs and all that, for them to work. And he tried to study what helped which group employee productivity was higher, and he found that those in the natural light did much better. They felt less tired when compared to those in the artificial light. This is what his study says. So this is all primary sources. This is through observation, this is through experimentation. Okay, so if you want to find out which are the most popular cars plying on the roads, you can either go to one of the showrooms and 2-3 showrooms and find out how much of sales is happening. You can even maybe be observant in these traffic where there is a lot of traffic. You can sit in a building somewhere there and observe and see. At peak hours you'll have a lot of vehicles going, so maybe you're checking and seeing which brand of car is seen in that particular city. This is observation. So I hope I'm making it clear. This is, all these things come under primary sources. The second one is secondary sources. So what is secondary sources? I'm not doing it. Somebody else has already done it. So now one more thing, when I said primary sources, say supposing I'm doing a study on identifying the choice of specialization of management students, whether students, maximum students or majority of the students, what kind of subjects they prefer, whether it is marketing, the three, I'm talking about the traditional and the, classic, what do you say, specialization. So HR, marketing, finance. I want to know, maybe I'm doing a study to identify which is the most popular among these three classic, specializations that students prefer. So now if I'm in Mysore and you people are in Pune, and if I ask one of the students to help me out with the collecting the information, I send it to the student through Google Sheet or something like that. I can see the name, say Akshay, and I can see Akshay, I can see Harshada. So maybe I ask them, can you just help me collect the data? And they say, yeah, please send it through Google, through Gmail or something like that. I send it to them and they collect the data. Is it primary source or is it secondary? Anybody can answer that? Is it primary or secondary? I'm asking someone to collect information for me. No one? It is primary data.
It's the primary source.
Yes, yes. Very good. I'm so happy you answered. So it is primary source. Though I am not collecting it directly, I'm asking somebody else to collect it for me. Okay, I've given them the objective and asked them to help me. It is still a primary source. Then what is secondary source? Secondary source is someone who has already done it, just like how I've done a study. Now, if I've done a study and I have identified something out of the study, there's a finding from the study. In such a case, if you want to do a similar study, then for you, my study becomes secondary. Similarly, if I am doing any other study and somebody has done it, now I'm doing it in Mysore and I'm doing it at Pune. Okay, in these two places. If I'm someone in New Zealand has done it, someone in China has done it, somebody in any other country has done a similar study, and I go through that study and identify what is the outcome of that study, how did they go about the study, what is the consumer mindset in that particular country, and if I do all that, then that is secondary data for me. I'm collecting that information and I'm using it for my study. This is secondary. So what are the sources of secondary data? One is the census report. So supposing I'm doing a study on identifying how many women and how many men are there in a particular town, based on which I need to understand, the promotion methods that I have to adopt for promoting my product or service. In such a case, I might require the census report, which the government collects. Okay, so that is secondary data. Maybe the annual reports of companies, that's the secondary data. And journals, articles in journals, that's the secondary data. If I read all those articles, that is published by some other author, somebody, researcher has done that and he's published it, and that is secondary data. Newspaper, which you read, you get some information from that. Yeah, you can include that also in your research. That is also secondary data. Anything. Okay, sometimes you see some discussion on television and you mention that in your report. That is also considered as secondary data. Okay, so these are the sources of data. You can use primary or secondary. If you're using primary, you will definitely be using secondary as well. But if you're using secondary, you'll be using only secondary. Okay, that is it. Next, so how do you identify that it's a good research? When you see a research, on what are the bases, what are the features that tell you that this research is good? So one is, it helps in generating dependable data, and it will help you to generate a dependable data when the purpose is clearly defined. That is, the objectives of the study is very clear and precise. Secondly, the research design is thoroughly planned. So what is a research design? The way in which you are going through. So for example, you want to go hiking. Okay, you've identified a place and you want to go hiking. How would you go hiking? Would you just get up in the morning and just go out, walk out of the door and go hiking? No, you would have planned beforehand. You would have used the Google map. You would have checked what are the things available there, what you need to carry, and in case there's a mishap, which is the nearest hospital, so many things, like what are the dangers, what are the challenges you might face, how long will it take. Don't you do all that? So if you have not done, if you don't do that, that is when you face a lot of problems, and that is when you run short of cash, or you end up in trouble and you do not know where to go. You thought you'll just go and come back in half an hour, and then you realize it's not so close, and your mobile charge, your battery is drained, and you are not able to make a call. See, all this because if these things happen, it's probably because you have not designed your travel properly. Okay, so if you design your travel properly, then it's not that you can be without challenges, but the challenges become something that you can overcome, something that you can face. Okay, so it's like that. So a research design which is thoroughly planned will help you to clear or make your research go very smoothly. Next is the high ethical standard applied. Ethical standards, we'll be talking about all this again a little bit more, but still I'll touch upon this. Ethical standard means you don't copy what someone else has done and then you write your name. Now, supposing somebody else has done it and I remove their name and then I put my name, Reena, everywhere. So no, that is unethical. If I've taken it from someone, I should acknowledge it. Acknowledge means say that I have taken it from the source. The source is from so and so. Okay. And the limitations are also frankly revealed. Limitations means every study will have its own limitations. The scope of the study is only so much, or the study focuses only on a particular area, and the period of collecting the data was between January 2025 to March 2025. Maybe in April things might change. So you need to mention that. Okay, because then people know whether the data is old or whether the data has been taken recently. Then adequate analysis for decision makers or business needs. You should give them enough scope for them to feel justified about the conclusions that you have made. And then findings presented unambiguously. That is, you're not giving some vague answers. You're giving some very specific, you're giving justified answers. See, it's because of this I'm giving this. I feel this is going to happen. So it is better that the company follows this policy, which will help the company enhance its image, enhance its brand equity. See, all that. And then conclusion is justified. So as I told you, that is when you give some substantial evidences, then it justifies whatever you're trying to say. And then the researcher's experience is reflected. The researcher's experience meaning when the way they put it see, it's like this. When students come and present in front of the teacher is able to identify whether the student is actually studied or has only mugged up and doesn't know anything at all. See, how do you know that? Because if you by heart something, and if you forget one word in between, you forget the whole thing. You're not able to go forward. Whereas if you see, it's something like if you have watched a movie for 3 hours and next day you come to college and your friend asks you which movie did you go, and they ask you how was the movie. You don't take 3 hours to tell them the whole movie. In 10 minutes you're able to tell them the whole movie, right? And they'll tell you whether it is nice or not. They understand. See, that is because you've understood the concept very well. You've watched the movie, you've seen the whole thing, and then you summarize it in 10 minutes. You're telling it exactly correctly. You're not telling, it's not lies. It's not fictitious. Okay. What you saw, you summarized it very well, and then you put it. So if a person who is not too much of a movie buff may not be able to, or not able to express himself, may not be able to tell it in those 10 minutes. They may take 2 hours and still you get fed up or you don't understand what they're saying. So how do you distinguish between the two? That is what I'm mentioning here. Researcher's experience is reflected. When you read the research, you will understand, yeah, this person has mentioned it very clearly and we can understand it, understand what he has gone through, what is the outcome of the study, what are the challenges he faced, and what decision can be made out of the study. So that is the researcher's experience, which is reflected. So